Hey guys, Home Shop Mechanic here again. I am working on my 2003 Jeep Liberty again, always. I've had some stalling issues and did a lot of research online. They said to check the crankshaft position sensor. That was what was coming up the most often. I had those replaced by a mechanic, but don't know if you put OEM in or not. A lot of times aftermarket sensors, from what I was reading, tend to mess up. So I'm going to go in and replace those sensors again. They're about 40 bucks a piece, so I figured why not try to get it up and running here. Show you what the crankshaft position sensor looks like. It's kind of an L-shaped sensor. It's got a metal tip on the end, magnetic tip. That is towards the aft of the engine on the right hand side, the lower aft. So I'm going to crawl down underneath and change that, see if I can get a good camera angle for you guys. The only thing you'll need is a 13mm wrench, ratcheting wrench. If you have it, it'll help you out a lot. You can get it with a socket, but I found it just as easy to get up in there with a ratcheting wrench. So let's see if I can get down there and show you guys where it's at. Perspective's a little bit tricky. So here we are, the passenger side wheel. Let's see if I can get it set up here. Alright, it's a little tricky to see. You can kind of see it right here. The wiring harness here, then the connector for the harness, and obviously the sensor itself is attached with one 13mm bolt. Right here, kind of for perspective, this is the right exhaust manifold. Right up in here, this is the right exhaust right here. Coming back down to the cat. Okay, so I went ahead and loosened up this bolt already. It wasn't in there very tight because the mechanic had already been up in here messing around and changing the sensor before me, so it didn't take much. If you guys want, if yours is really tight, you might want to spray it down with WD-40 or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just loosen this bolt up and continue to take it out. My hand might be in the way. And you can do this one of two ways. You can either take the bolt out and bring the whole sensor out and let it drop down before you take the cannon plug off the connector, or you can take the connector off now. Mine came off pretty easy again because it's new. So there's the connector. Now before I attach this to the new sensor, I'm going to spray this out with contact cleaner I bought, just to make sure there's no oil or anything up in there. I might have to get my wrench back up in here. This is in here tighter than I thought. I put it back in. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so there's the 13mm bolt. I'm just going to set this right here so I don't lose it. And it dropped in the grass. Find it later. Then all it takes is just a little bit of wiggle. The only thing that holds this thing in here besides the bolt is an O-ring. So all you got to do is wiggle back and forth and she'll come right out. Alright, so there it is. It's like a kind of an L shape, so I know we got the right sensor. That's the crankshaft position sensor. So I'm going to cut the tape and I'll come back when I'm back up top. Alright, I'm back. I decided just to bring the new one down here because trying to reposition the camera, get a good angle is kind of hard. So anyway, here's the new sensor. Before you put this in, you want to put a little bit of oil on the O-ring. That helps it seat better. So it's tricky because getting it back in is a little bit tricky just because you can't see real well up in there. So I'm kind of going to try to fish my light around a little bit and try to find the hole. There it is. Alright. So line up your bolt hole. Just kind of wiggle it a little bit until it pops in. There, I heard it pop in. Then you want to put your bolt back in, if I can find it. Alright, so my bolt's going back in. Notice it's a little bit hard to see under here, there's not much room. Now when you're doing this, I know a lot of people said you can put this up on stands or, you know, ramps, something to give you a little more room under here, which would be helpful. But seeing as how the Jeep doesn't run for me anymore, I didn't really have much option. So I'm actually just in my in-laws' front yard, and you can get to it just by crawling under on your back. Not much room, but you can do it. All right, it's tight as I can get it with fingers, so I'm gonna get a wrench and finish tightening it up. Again, it's a 13 millimeter. I'm getting oil dripping on my head. Alright, so I dropped the camera trying to get up in there, so I just decided to go ahead and put the sensor in, and then come back up here and explain what I did. This is the old sensor. You can see it looks exactly like the other one. Again, I don't know whether this one that they put in was OEM or not, so I'm going to give this a try. The one I just put in is OEM. See, the part number is right here. Again, this is for a 2003 Liberty. I don't know if the part numbers are exactly the same for if you have a different year. So all I did was, once I got that bolt in there and tightened down, just used some contact cleaner to spray off the connector before I put it in. Once I sprayed it off, I just snapped it onto the sensor, and that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna cut this video and start another video with me changing the camshaft position sensor. I'll open up the hood for that. We'll end up having to go underneath the car to get to that one too, but we'll go from the front instead of from the side.